Well, you guys have been asking, so we're finally making a video on the Steiner R1X reflex sight. Most notably, this has a really cool futuristic look, like something plucked right out of the Area 51 raid. But that crazy futuristic look is actually a side effect of my absolute favorite feature on the R1X, a simply massive field of view. I'm a huge fan of red dots that have large fields of view. When you have a large field of view, there's nothing to obstruct your view in any way, and the sight won't give you any of that tunnel or tube effect that you can get with some dots. And if you're new to shooting with a red dot, having a large field of view makes it a lot easier to get used to shooting with both eyes open. If you're a fan of dots with large fields of view like me, you're going to like the R1X, because I'm not aware of any other dots on the market that have a larger field of view than the R1X. Here it is alongside some other large field of view dots like the Leupold LCO, another one of my favorites, and an EOTech. The glass in the R1X is phenomenally clear and gives you a huge crisp viewing window. The standard dot is a very crisp 2 MOA, it weighs in at 9.6 ounces, and has 7 levels of illumination, 5 for daylight and 2 for night vision. I have the QD mount and I really like this for the R1X. It has a large robust center bar and a really solid feeling clamp. The release arm has a very solid quality feel to it as well, which is easy to use while staying very low profile when in the clamp position. It's a really good thing that the QD mount is so good, because the R1X has a proprietary footprint, and at least to the best of my knowledge, this is the only QD mount available for it. There's also a simple screw type mount, and there's a riser in the box that would take this up to a full co-witness height. The controls are very easy and very intuitive. On the side of the optic, you'll have 3 buttons. The center one is the power button. It will activate the optic and can be used to toggle between the 2 reticles, and more on that in a minute. You can also hold it for 3 seconds to turn the optic off. The other 2 buttons are the up and down buttons, which will toggle the brightness settings for the R1X. The windage and elevation adjustments are a very large Phillips drive, but it's so large that it could be accomplished with either a flathead screwdriver or even the side of a casing. Another thing that I really like is the adjustments are in 1/4 MOA increments. That lets you really accurately calibrate your zero and truly dial the Steiner R1X in. Battery life is rated at 750 hours, and it has an auto off feature to help you get the most out of that time. We've had this optic for a little less than a year, and we pretty much used it constantly. It went from one gun to the next and never got much of a break at all. After almost a year of nearly constant use, this happened.
I think this damn thing could die. I think this thing finally died, Tim.
Oh, really?
There's absolutely no dot there.
Alright, you just shoot it.
10-4.
You see, the great thing about suppressor videos is, if you hit the steel target too much, it ruins the sound of the suppressor. So it didn't really matter that we didn't have a working sight that day, it looked like we did. Here's what that tells me. The average shooter should probably get 2 years of use on the batteries, because I don't think most people shoot as much or as often as we do. But if you want to be on the safe side, change the batteries out every year. It's a really good thing to do on most of your optics, because you sure don't want them failing when you need them the most. And while the R1X might not have the amazing battery life that some other sights do, I do feel that a year of hard use, or probably 2 years of normal use, is more than sufficient. I'm really happy with the Steiner R1X just using the basic dot as the reticle, but there is actually a second reticle, and while it's not for me, let me explain it to you and it may be something that you really like. The Steiner R1X was actually developed for the AR-15 platform with close quarters work in mind, and that is evident because of the Stadia reticle. In addition to the regular 2 MOA dot, you'll have additional 4 MOA dots for 5, 7, and 10 meters as long as your primary dot is zeroed at 50 meters. The reason I say this isn't for me is, for better or worse, I use a bunch of different optics, and at least on most of mine, when they have multiple dots, that always means targets getting further away and not closer. So when I see multiple dots, I immediately think 200, 300, and 400 yards. But this is something that if you train with it, it does work, and it can be a very effective tool. I'll just keep mine on the single dot, but again, with training, the Stadia setup can be very effective. I'm a huge fan of this optic, and I also have a Steiner scope and have always been very happy with Steiner products. They are top quality but don't always get the immediate name recognition that some other companies get. I would highly recommend this optic to anyone, especially someone who wants to try something a little different than the run-of-the-mill optics that everyone else is using. It kind of has a unique love it or hate it look, but if you're like me and you love it, you can buy with confidence that this is a quality optic, and I believe it will serve me well for many years to come. If you want to get your own Steiner R1X or just about anything else from Optics Planet, you can save a little bit of money with the code ALArsenal5. You get the gear you want, and it helps the channel out a little bit at the same time. It's a win-win for everyone. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. We got some really big reviews coming out that you won't want to miss. You want to know what we're reviewing way before it hits the YouTube channel? Follow us on Instagram or Facebook. There you can see the guns while they're being reviewed way before they hit YouTube. If you want to help support Alabama Arsenal, the best possible way to do that is through Patreon. These videos are surprisingly expensive to make, and every little bit helps a lot and is greatly appreciated. There's also gear down below the video if you want to go out and represent. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.